Hey guys, we're going to do a kit review today. That's right, an actual review of an actual model kit. What we're going to be taking a look at today is the Belkits Volkswagen Polo World Rally Championship. Brand new kit, straight out of Belgium, via Japan, because Aoshima is their Japanese distributor, and that's where I got mine from. And we're going to take a look at this kit and everything it includes, and we'll be right back. We flip the camera around, and we'll get this one started. All right, guys, here you go. The Belkits Volkswagen Polo R World Rally Championship car. Now, you can build this with one of three driver combinations. I know this one's going to sort of, actually, I thought the glare was going to be too bad, but actually, you could probably see. You got Lativa and what I believe would be Entia, and then Mickelson and Nagel, and then Ogier and Integracia. Haha. There's my foreign name reading for the day. This does include Photo-etch parts, and it does include night race parts as well. If you build this, I believe, as the box art indicates here, with the Ogier and Integracia, I believe that does make the 2014 World Rally Champion, or maybe that's 2013. I have to actually look that up. But the thing with Belkits rally cars are, for the most part, that each of them has made the World Rally Championship team for that year. So what's in this rather substantially large box? It's not a small thing here. There's a little more box art there on the side. A picture of the real car. That's supposed to the front is a real car too, but it's nice. Nice box art, some pictures and stuff like that. And so let's take a look at the. Oh, one other thing I wanted to make before we take a look at the parts. This clearly says on the back here, in the UK, I suppose this would be the English instructions, that this is an unassembled plastic model kit, and you should keep it out of the reach of children under the age of 14. So if you're 13 and watching this, you can't have one. You have to only watch your parents build it. I've seen a bunch of different things that have said, keep out of the, sharp parts, keep out of the reach of small children. And I've seen, for experienced builders over the age of 10, 12, and 15. But I've never seen one straight up tell you, keep it out of the hands of your young children. So let's take a look at what's inside this very large box. Okay, guys, first up, the first part we're going to talk about is this very small chrome tree. This is the only chrome in the kit. This includes things like these are all the headlight buckets for the night racing. And then this would be up here. It's kind of difficult to see because it's actually below the grade, so to speak, of the actual molding. But this is nice because then you don't have any molding lines in it itself. These, of course, would be your headlight buckets. And this right here would, of course, be your taillight buckets. Now, taking out of the bag would be an option, except I'd like to keep this chrome sort of intact as well as I can, mainly because there's going to be a carbon fiber decal set for this kit put out by Racing Decals 43. Right now, they're doing all the sort of final beauty work to get it to fit, because there were some changes made to this between the prototype and the finished kit, so make sure everything fits correctly. And then, of course, we'll tell you about that on the stash project when the actual decals are available. Next up, we'll do the clear runner. This will be one of the very few last things I don't take out of the bag, I suppose. You have a sort of one-part overview glass here, in the sense that the windshield as well as the rear window are all one piece. Your side windows are then separate. And then this, of course, has the rest of your, clear parts, your headlight covers. Oops, I always forget that I'm tilting it so I can see it, but that means you guys can't see it. It has the headlight covers, the tail light covers, and as well as the bezels for the night racing lights and some side marker lights. So let's take a look at actual individual parts runners. Now, much like the Mercedes ones, I didn't actually open any of this stuff because this literally just showed up today via the slow boat from China. This came via registered sal because it was a little more expensive than I was willing to just accidentally lose if it didn't show up. But like I said, just came today, so I really haven't had a whole heck of a lot of chance to look at it. So you guys are going to see it as I see it. This, of course, I did take a look at this up front. Just taking a quick look to see, because this parts runner is a little warped, but doesn't look like that affects the parts at all. This, of course, being your chassis, this would be the dirty side down, the part that you would actually see. As you can see here, obviously, everything about this kit is molded separately. It does, of course, have a solid plate up here because there is no engine in here. This is a curbside kit. The only thing I've seen about on the instructions, and I'm trying to take a look now, probably should have done this sooner, but it is what it is. And I don't see them being actually pre-drilled. There are some suspension parts that sort of go in the actual wheel well themselves, and it tells you to drill some holes for them and gives you exact measurements away from like the fender well and everything else. I thought perhaps they were flashed over holes, because there is going to be a gravel trans kit available for this, because this is what comes with an asphalt suspension. But I am not seeing the fact that those holes are drilled through. So that is going to be a demerit, if you want to call it, because not everybody has a readily available measuring device in millimeters. Of course, it's a standard hobby tool, but I don't know how many people are just wandering around with a millimeter-based thing, and, it's going to take a little bit of actual real measurement to get those parts in there and aligned so that you don't wind up with your suspension out of square. That's kind of a disappointment, really. This would, of course, be your interior base. This would be the base for the driver's seat and the navigator's seat, so front of the car, rear of the car, if that isn't obvious. One interesting thing about this is it does come with 5 wheels and five tires. As you'll see, the spare tire gets mounted right to this post right here. And there is 3 tiny little holes. You probably can't even see them. Well, maybe you can. But there are tiny little Photo-etch loops that we'll show you the Photo-etch fret here in a second, that you then get some included sort of nylon thread material, I believe in 2 sizes. I haven't really taken a look. I believe one size is for the seat belts and the other size is for this. But you put the wheel in here basically upside down so that you do get a mounting point. It's not going to just sort of flop around. But you mount it in here upside down, and then you mount those 3 little Photo-etch anchor points. Then you take the little nylon rope and you tie it all together into sort of a cross brace and then a loop going this way to sort of tie the tire in. So, I know a lot of people will probably just slap it, glue it in there, and forget about everything else. But if you want to go for that detail, it is included in the kit. It's not a little thing you have to go for on the aftermarket side of things, and that is kind of neat. Other than that, all this stuff is very cleanly molded. There's no obvious sink marks. There are a lot of ejector marks that you can see here, but this is the bottom. You're not going to see it. And there's a bunch of ejector marks here, too. But, again, this would be, technically speaking, the bottom, because, the car's going to sit like this, so you're not going to see that side. You'll see this side. And, like I said, I'm not seeing any kind of real sink marks from any of these ejector pins, so that's nice. Again, I'll show you in the instructions, because the instructions for this aren't online I've seen anywhere, but it'd be really nice if those holes had been pre-drilled. There are a number of holes in this thing, in the body, for example, that are pre-drilled for all the antennas and things like that, but, again, not pre-drilled on the chassis. That could possibly end up being a problem down the line. So our next parts tree here is going to include a lot of the interior parts and pieces, if I can get it open. Easier said than done. I'm trying to, not destroy these bags so I can put the parts back into them until my decals show up. And then I think this will be a bench clearer. I really like this, and it'll probably end up going ahead of several other things that I had planned in the past. Might test out the Skoda waters, actually, to see how these Belkits build up, because I have 2 of them now. I have the Skoda Fabia S2000 rally car, and then I have this. There, of course, is the will be Mark I, I believe, Escort rally car that's coming out sometime next year for all the vintage rally fans. All righty, now we got it out of there. So here, let's see, we'll move this way. So there we go. This is a lot of basically interior parts and things of that nature. This, of course, would be your door cards, as I like to call them, your door panels. They are nicely pre-creased, so to speak, for the roll caging, so you don't have to worry about that. Let's see. There's basically a door latch, and that's going to pretty much be the only thing that's really engraved in that. It's white, so it's really hard to show you this stuff. But this would be your fire extinguisher, your sort of center control console. I believe this is the, whoops, tilting it the wrong way. This is sort of a, what do I call it? It's sort of the sun visor, if you will, for the gauge cluster. This will be your dashboard. It's got a little bit of engraved detail there, but not a whole heck of a lot. I mean, it's a race car, so it doesn't have like a stereo in or anything else like that. The engraving on it is pretty weak. I mean, there's no actual like slots for the vents or anything else like that, but of course they may be blocked off in the real car. This would be your foot pedals. Not entirely sure what those are. These are your door handles, your side mirrors. Believe this will be part of the rear spoiler, your windshield wipers, the roof intake, which, let's see, would come at you like this, if I can get it. There it is right here. So it's got a little engraving area, little engraved detail there that you could paint to show the air intake. Several of these pieces right here are GPS pucks and transponders for the race car itself. And then, you know what, there's a lot of little bits and bobs here that I'm not entirely sure what they are because, you know, again, the instructions don't really necessarily call them out real well. The instructions do have paint call-outs for Tamiya, as well as Revell and Humbrol and Mr. Hobby, I believe Acros, which would be their acrylic line. So no matter what country that you're in watching this video or considering this model kit from, you should be able to, relatively speaking, because like Revell, the German Revell paint line does not include any semi-gloss black, for instance. There's no, unless they've done something recently to change that, there's no semi-gloss black color in that paint line. You'd have to paint it, you know, sort of mixed gloss and flat together to get a semi-gloss. Where, of course, if you're a Tamiya paint user like most of us, like a bunch of us are, this is just a superior acrylic paint, in my opinion. You have X18, which, of course, is semi-gloss black. All right, next parts runner. Here we got some more interior bits and bobs, of course. A lot of this very easily identified as the roll caging. Side roll, roof roll, and then some cross bracing. This actually mounts transversely across the rear shock tower and provides the anchor points for the seat belts if you choose to use the real seat belts material. You have your two seats, which are drilled through in both seats. If I can get this on there we go. Both seats are drilled through for their seat belts, so you don't have to drill through for them, and they're drilled through on the sides as well for the lap belts, which is usually something you don't see. Usually when you get seats that are drilled through for the seat belts, they're drilled through for the heads, but not for the lap belts. This contraption right here is actually the shifter, and this contraption over here is the steering shaft. This is some wiring of some sort. Again, I didn't really study the instructions like to a sprue level. So again, there's a lot of parts here that I'm sure go to something. However, I don't know what they are. The injector pins are going to be on the back side of this. I'm just looking at the roll caging here. The seats backs are solid, so you're not dealing with like an open seat back or anything else like that. And really, they seem to have done a fairly decent job here. I'm looking at them off camera here, of course, but there are no ejector pin markings on the actual back of the seats. They've taken a Tamiya approach here. We saw this with the Mercedes, where there are several strike pins that are raised above the sprue level on these parts in the tree itself that allow the ejector pins to hit the actual ejector pin placement rather than the actual parts themselves. Now there are some ejector pin markings, one like right here in the center of this cross brace. I don't know if that's going to focus or not, but there's like a sync mark ejector pin right there. And you know what, guys, that really looks like that's the only one, and you wouldn't necessarily see that because from the visual you'd get the top side of it like this. Of course, also on this is the steering wheel itself. It's got some reasonably good engraved detail. I can't really stand this up because of the space I'm limited to here, but let me put some shadow behind it here. And you see you've got some engraved switches and stuff like that that are called out in the detail painting of that part. Now we're going to go on to some chassis parts. there's gonna be, let's say, one more sprue after this, so we're getting close to the end of the parts. Where's the body, you say? Well, they've come up with a genius little way to pack that, and so we're gonna show that sort of last, if you will. This bag is being shredded to pieces. I'm not sure I could be able to use this bag again, but we're gonna try. At any rate, this is your interior, or your chassis pieces, including your wheels. Starting on this side over here, these would be, of course, your strut uprights along with your wheel mounts. These obviously the front ones. They've got the little tags there for your steering arm, and these would be the rear ones. They are really pretty good, well engraved. They've got some nice coilover shocks, coilover springs and shocks there. The paint call-outs, I should say. Trying to talk too fast. The paint call-outs do, tell you to paint the coil differently than the underlying shock. So if you good with your detail painting there, you'll get some really nice effects. This would be your front transaxle, as well as your steering arm right here. This is your, I believe, front suspension brace. Yeah, it is, because here's your uprights. And this is your rear suspension brakes. This is your rear transaxle right here. This, of course, being a rally car's all-wheel drive. Got some good engraving on the rear transaxle. Let's see here. So you guys can see it. Maybe. You see the problem. If you watch any of Elliot's videos, you see the problems he has with white things, and that's the same problem I'm having right here. I'm not totally sure what this is. It looks like a whoopee cushion, but I believe it's probably an oil cooler or something like that. There's some suspension bracing here. I'm not really sure what those are. Oh, I know exactly what those are. These are the top of the shock tower, the shock tower for the interior. They basically go right here and here, and then you have your brakes, which are pretty decently done. If you're not a photo-etch guy, this could come as a little bit of a problem here, because as you can see here, these, or maybe you can't really, but as you can see here, try to get them pitched so that they'll come into focus. Yeah, that's probably about as good as it's going to get right now. These are flat. They have no, drilled brake feature to them. They have nice one-piece calipers. There'll, of course, be a mold line across the top of them you'll have to take care of. But they have nice hub bolt detail, and they appear to be all the same dimension. I'm not exactly sure how accurate that would be, particularly to the car. They do, unfortunately, on the back side, which is a lot of brakes have this problem, so it's not a out of the question thing. Oh my God, I can't believe this! But you see, there are some pretty aggressive ejector pin things right on the brake rotors on the back. Cleanup of that, it's up to you, I guess. I mean, when this thing all comes together, is the what am I trying to say? Is that really going to be noticeable? I guess would be what I'm trying to say. A lot of the GT3 cars I build, the McLaren, the BMW, and the Mercedes-Benz, they also have big ejector pins on the back of those brakes. But everything is so enclosed with when it's assembled that you literally cannot see between the tire and the back of the brake. So I don't bother to do anything with them because you can't see it, and it's just more work. This right here, I don't think it really necessarily matters. Well, yes, it does, because this one's molded through. You can see the hub on this one. You can see through. So this one right here is the spare tire, and then these four other ones, which, are pretty much identical, except they don't have a drilled out, mount or studs, and they don't have a drilled out center cap. All look pretty good. They're all nicely engraved. There's no sink marks. There's no chips on them or anything else like that. They are sort of a modified female mount, I guess you would say. They're not what you could traditionally consider to be a male or female mount. I mean, a male mount wouldn't have a hole in it, and a female mount usually is a big crevice you stick a poly cap into. These are going to, more like male mount, I guess. Technically speaking, they would be male mount because you're going to be putting them into these brake rotors. So this is a male mount. Okay, we figured that out relatively quickly. Of course, this one being your spare tire doesn't have any mount in it at all. And, yeah, it doesn't really look like it's engraved any better or any worse on the backside, except that, like I said, it has the open lug nuts, or open stud holes as well, so, you know, that's a nice little touch, I guess. Sorry, I didn't mean to drop that, but I had a cough and I had nothing to hold over my mouth. Your last parts runner, really, let's see. Yeah, this is the one of the parts we're falling off of earlier. So hopefully we can get this out of here without making a mess. We still have a bunch of parts, little parts to show you, and of course the body. Let's see here. Look at the loose part fell on the floor. Where's the camera edit when you need it? Of course, I suppose I could just edit that out, but I'm going to leave it be. Get all the debris off it. Basically, what fell out is this. This is the rear fascia for the car. Mounts this way, obviously, because that would be the bottom of the fascia. As your little engraved space there for the exhaust to come out. The rest of the runner is like random odds and ends and some more chassis parts. This over here is the reason pretty much why this is going to be a curbside. You have this very large, I'm trying to get it all in the picture, there we go, very large skid plate that travels front to rear. So, even if there was the bottom of an engine to show you, it wouldn't be there. Now, ironically, there is a bottom of the engine right here. So I guess you could leave the skid plate off if you wanted to do sort of a diorama type of deal where you showed the car being built or in a repair type of deal. It's pretty well engraved, actually. Got some like cooler lines and things like that flowing on the bottom here, so it's reasonably good. Oh, there you go, really clear picture. Wow, do that with everything, it'd be fantastic. But a really clear engraving there. I don't know if this would be ribbed, but the way this is just sort of flat sort of bothers me. I don't know if this is ribbed in real life or not, but this would be of course, your exhaust pipe right here beside it, which looks like it's part of the runner, but it's not. It's actually your transaxle going between the front and rear differentials. And then you have a lot of cooling devices here. This is sort of the beginning of the front air oops, it's off the camera. You can't see. The beginning of the front brake intake. And then these intakes and their NACA ducts attached to this piece, and that becomes your front brake coolers. And then these back here, there's this one here, and I'm missing one someplace. Oh wait, I'm sorry, it's all just one piece. Becomes your part of your rear brake rotor, rear brake cooling part. Let's see here. Here's your grill. It is molded like half see-through. I thought maybe this was a molding issue, because like this half is see-through and this half is not. But looking at the 3D drawings of this the kit, it was originally designed to be this way. So be that as it may, I guess. What else is on here? Of course, these up here would be. Whoops. Let's flip this over so these can be down here. How about that? These right here are the foundation for your night racing lights, and that's what a number of these other parts over here are parts of the night racing light setup. That brings us to this bag right here, which has, like I said, the what I believe are two sizes. I need to take this out and really look at it. It might only be one size, but this is going to be your nylon braided material for your seat belts, as well as that tie down for the spare tire. Let's go down here if we can. This is your decal, or if you're a European, this would be your decal sheet. I'm trying to get it centered. That's good this way. Now it needs to come this way. Aha! There we go. Everything in reverse. I haven't done a kit review in months, so bear with me. As you can see up here in the top, it does have decals, or decals, for your seatbelts. So you do not have to run the seatbelt if you don't want to. You do get sort of a carbon fiber effect wrap for the back of both the driver and navigator seats. You, of course, have your Red Bull livery here. Very, very colorful. it's kind of actually on here kind of backwards because this would be the driver's side and this would be the passenger side. But you have, again, the option to do 3 different driver's cars. So you get the 3 driver's numbers here, the 3 driver numbers here, and then over down here. It's kind of hard to see because it's white. But there are the side window things with the, let's see if we can maybe bring it a little closer. Yeah, there you go. You have the side window decals for the driver names and their country of nationality. One interesting thing I noticed about this is it gives you a grand total of 12 of these Michelin decals with the little rings that go on the wheels. I don't know why. It doesn't really make any sense in that way. They're all numbered the same, so it's not like they go in a particular order, but you got 4 here, 4 more here. I guess 4 spare ones. I mean, that's a nice touch, I guess, but really you shouldn't be losing the Michelin logos for the tires themselves, right? I mean, those are pretty hefty decals. I could see maybe shredding accidentally that little circular ring that goes on the inside, but the tire decals, I don't know. But hey, you know what? If you're ever looking for some Michelin race tire decals, and I'm not saying you should go out and buy a $50 model kit for a set of decals, but there will be 4 spare Michelin racing decals there. Let's see, what else is here? You've got your sort of center console decals, your gauge cluster decal. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll figure out that. But it's very, very, I know, I'm looking at it off camera, it's boring, but it's very well registered. There are no real big registry issue problems with this that I can see, so kudos. I don't know where in France necessarily these are made, but they certainly did a very good job with them. And I'm all about my Red Bull livery, mainly because they've tried to shit can so many, pardon the French there, but they've tried to shit can so many of the Red Bull supplemental decals that have been done over the years. If they want to give their licensing, you can make their decals. But if you say, I'm going to make these decals, they come after you. So I understand that Red Bull's a big company, but they are also a very popular race team, and I don't know that necessarily does a lot to sort of go after your fans in that sense. They want to build replicas of your cars, really. So there's that. There is this, which is your tires. I'm going to have to open this because I want to be able to show you a tire. Plus, there's sort of a really neat little rubber sprue in here, which is probably something that a lot of people aren't familiar with working with, I don't think. Other than maybe the tires in the AMT Showroom Replica series. But this right here is going to be your tire. No sidewall decal or detail, but then you're getting decals to put the sidewall detail on. Even if you were going to go, put it on both sides, this obviously has a design to it. This sidewall is a good deal thicker than this sidewall. The wheels obviously go in from the back kind of deal. It's not going to show up, I guess. But you can sort of see, if I can get this to focus. Let's take everything off of here so there's nothing in the background. Yeah, you can sort of see it there. There's a lip that runs around that wider sidewall. So the tires come in from the back. So they were going to only fit one direction. Make sure you fit them the right way. There's tread detail here. I don't know how prototypically correct necessarily this tread detail is. I don't know how awful my camera, angling could possibly be. Let's pull it back a second here, see if we can get it to refocus. There we go. So there's your tread detail. Like I said, I don't know how prototypically correct that is. The rest of the kit seems to be pretty, well detailed. So maybe this is the right tread pattern. It'd be stupid to make a set of tires that don't have the right tread pattern on it. But I have not compared them to the tires out of the Skoda to see if they're maybe just using the same tires over and over again. There are, of course, 5 tires because you have to have a tire for the spare tire. And then you have this sort of, I don't know if cool is the word I'm really looking for, but this interesting rubber runner that has this very... Sorry, guys, I got distracted. If there's a crackling in the background, I apologize. my phone is nearby and it's the school calling me for something. It's almost 9 o'clock, and the school's calling for something. So yay. It'll just be a pre-recorded message. Not like my kids have done anything bad. But these go on to the side, hang on, of this. They mount trying to get them orientated the right way. Of course, they're too. The mounting is entirely too wide due to the fact that these need to be cut off the runner. But they go like this onto this skid plate. So basically, what you wind up looking at is like this side right here. Let's see if I can get one of these just lined up entirely correctly. They got pins and mounts in them, but it's not going to show up because of the parts runners there. But basically, you wind up with that sort of look to it right there. Now, why this wasn't all one piece of plastic and whatnot, I don't know. But I guess it's a nice touch that it's sort of in a more accurate material, perhaps. I guess. But that's there. You're probably going to have to use 5-minute epoxy or craft glue or super glue to get that to be secure, because obviously model cement, as most people have found out, will not stick to rubberized material. Also, you probably really won't be able to paint them very much. It's the same problem. And this, guys, right here will be your Photo-etch. There's 2 frets in here. This is the first side. This has all of your buckles and for the seat belts, including the latches. These 3 things right here. I need my pointer. Hang on. These 3 loops right here are what goes into the. There we go. These 3 loops right here are what go, or what the tie downs are for the spare tire. Like I told you guys, there are actually little divots in the interior for these to mount into, so it's not a question of like trying to, drill holes that'll fit them. There are divots there to fit them. You got some Dietz fits for the Dietz fits. It's sort of like D's nuts, right? Dietz fits, these fasteners for the hood. These are actually the frames to the seats. Now the seats will mount without them, so you don't have to really, if you don't want to use them, that's up to you. And this has sort of the radiator grill, and here are the cross-drilled faces for the brakes on the back side here, and it's kind of hard to see because of the fact that so much of it carries over. But you can see this includes the large sort of the outside of the grill opening for the bottom. It also includes a couple more fasteners for the inside, as well as the hood grates. The hood intake areas are also on this Photo-etch tree. I don't believe there are, unless maybe those are some of the parts I don't recognize what they are, that there are actually plastic parts for that. So you may be stuck using that Photo-etch, whether you like it or not. There are also a little bag of stickers and other stuff in here. You get this little Das Auto logo. That really doesn't go into anything. It's just a little Das Auto thing. And then on the inside here, let's try to shake this out without breaking everything. You get, I don't know, some... Oh, I know. These are going to be little metal pieces so you can make real antennas. How cool is that, right? And then some shorter little pieces if you want to make some shorter little antennas. You don't use all of these, so you're going to have a bunch of leftover little metal pieces, so that's extremely cool. And then there are several what we would call dry, metal transfer decals here. Oops, there we go. This way here for the Volkswagen logos in the non-focusing. Volkswagen logo. Let's move all our little dime bags out of the way here. Volkswagen logo. All them dime bags in the back here are perfectly in focus. But there are basically I'm just gonna put a pointer at them and tell you what they are. They're the side they're in focus. Haha. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. They are the side mirror faces as well as the actual VW logos for the front and rear of the car. Now, the car. We've been here all this time and there's no car. Well, there's your car right there. It a neat little feature for the model kit itself. There is a box within the box that holds the body. So this is a pretty good, sturdy box. I'm not going to sit here and try to crush it for you to crush my body inside of it. But that is a very nice touch. These are going to be coming, either out of Europe or out of Asia for the people who are buying them. So a little bit of, not having to worry so much about your body getting crushed in transit. That is a very cool little feature. I don't know how much that adds to the price of the model kit. These ended up being, I want to say, $42 through your preferred Japanese retailer. They were, I believe, $43 at HobbyLink Japan and $42 at Hobby Search, or might have been $42 and $41. I purchased mine through Hobby Search because they just seem to be very much more dependable. I know that's like a double negative, but very much more dependable in the terms of getting European-based kits in stock. HobbyLink Japan has not been recently, and so, it is what it is, I guess. But this is a really well-done body, very nice. It's, good sturdy plastic. I mean, you're not squishing anything. You don't have to worry about really manhandling this too much. You'll see, since we have the part out right here, that this sort of goes into... Hang on. I don't want to bust the little mounting tabs off the back here going, this fits in here like this. Snap, snap. That goes there. That goes there. Aha, there we go. And you see, this creates the additional rear lip area for the exhaust. That goes into two little mounting holes right there. So, see, we know right now that this body part fits the body flawlessly once you line the holes up correctly and you're not just an idiot. There are, as we said before, there are a number of drill-through spots on the bottom of this body that, unfortunately, again, the chassis does not have. There are a number, of course, injection molding, ejection pin kicks on the roof. How much you see them, I don't really think you see them. If you just sort of do a basic touch-up to that so they're not so obvious, you're going to have, of course, side windows in here, so you're not really going to be able to see in all that well. The roof, the whole inside of the car, the interior and everything is white as well, so, it's all sort of blend together. But there are, like I said, a number of drill-through spots for all the various antennas, or antennae, that go into this kit. And very nice, smooth finish to this. No Mobius texture for the people who know what that means. Very, very nice. I'm really trying to go over this. I know it's off camera and it's boring. I'm trying to go over this and find some mold lines. This may be... I don't use the term very frequently because it doesn't hold up under most circumstances. But this, guys, is Tamiya-like quality. Very, very nice. I am really seriously having trouble. There are probably some running along the sort of the fat edges of these fenders, but there are no discernible mold lines pretty much anywhere. I want to take this outside and shoot it in gray primer just to see if I can find something. But I'm not going to do that because this car needs to be white. Here's you see there's a little sort of indentation for where your DOS Auto sticker there, and a little indentation. Of course, your grill will go here, but a little indentation there for your DOS Auto sticker there. I couldn't tell you necessarily beyond just sort of looking at the box, the car on the box, and comparing the model itself. I mean, I suppose I could. I just said something in another video about Google image search, but just sort of comparing the two, they seem to be right on par. I mean, this kit was in development for over almost a year. Belkits doesn't do a lot of model kits. This is only their 5th one they've ever produced. So obviously they take the time and the effort to do everything correctly. And it really does show. The only 2 holes that you have in the body itself are for the roof intake. So really all those antennas. And I will say the plastic is thick enough that you do not see the drill through the antenna either. So if you want to leave this sort of bare, if you want to do, I don't know, some sort of really muscular-looking street car out of this, perhaps do what I was talking about with the Subaru Impreza Rally of taking a retired rally car, making a road car out of it. I mean, it does have treaded tires, and these do have to have license plates and be road legal to drive between stages. But this is just a really nice body. I wish I had something negative to say about it, just so I had something to say about it, but I really don't. It is very nice. It's very nice engraving. You got some rivet detail right here. You have rivet detail. Whoops, tip it down here. A rivet detail all along this little front grounding strip. You see here your Photo-etch goes into these areas here, and they have ever so fine a lip around the inside, so your Photo-etch doesn't drop through. Very nice. I don't know. You may put it in from the bottom. I think it goes in from the top, looking at the instructions. But your side windows will mount to this bar right here with these two pinholes, so you're not trying to, I think also you have one mounting hole right here, so you're not slopping glue all over the place. Obviously, the windshield and the back window installed from the bottom, and there are pins on the bottom to hold it on. So again, you're not slopping glue anywhere. You have some nice, serious mounting bosses for the side windows, some nice, serious mounting bosses for the door handles. All of these are what I like to call glue from behinds. Because they go through so well, these pins are so large and so robust that you can put the door handle on, get it all flush fitted, and actually just put a little dab of glue on the back side, and that way you're not getting any glue squishing through here. Same with these side windows. Get the side windows in here, and then glue in the tabs from the back side. I think the only thing it does, actually that rear lip you could glue behind from that too. There are some mounting bosses right here. I can't rotate that around enough, I don't think, but you can see. Oh, that's not what I meant. This here. I may have to flip the car upside down. There we go. There's some mounting bosses here and here to hold the back part of the chassis in, and then the front chassis will mount in on these catches right here. So good sturdy securement there too, so you're not going to be dropping the innards of your model all over the floor once you're done with it. Really, guys, I can't say enough nice things about this body. This is a really well done piece. So that brings us to the instructions, and I'm going to just go over these real quick because of the fact that the instructions are not online anywhere. Maybe Belkits will have a PDF file of this, but Hobby Search does not open foreign kits to show their instructions. So we're going to show you them real quick. Here, again, are your color callouts in Tamiya, in Revell, in Humbrol, and in Mr. Hobby Aqueous, which, of course, like I said, is their acrylic line. You're supposed to be painting this. I'm going to take the mic off here, guys, so it's going to be a noise. Sorry. Your color callouts here are Tamiya Pure White for the body, and Tamiya Gunmetal for a bunch of the suspension components. And then you have Gloss Black, Gloss White, Gloss Red, Gloss Yellow, Gunmetal in the bottle, silver, semi-gloss black, clear red, titanium gold, titanium silver, matte black, which would be flat black in Tamiya colors, flat aluminum, sky gray, metallic gray, and dark yellow. So it's a palette that most everybody probably has all of in there. Again, going to go in the mic stand, so there'll be a noise. It is like I said, a palette that I think most everybody has just laying around. Now, on to the actual instructions here. What these guys, instead of the goofy sort of Revell line art or the even Tamiya, very nice drawings on Tamiya, don't get me wrong, but these are actual blown up 3D diagrams of the actual kit design itself. So, you're seeing here, you should paint the top of the wheel hub. This is the rear one here, metallic gray with a red coilover and silver shock. Down here is going to be how to paint your brakes, showing the decals that go on. It's basically painting all of the brakes at once. So you have a call out for the rear brakes, call out for the front brakes, and as well a call out for the Photo-etch, along what color you should paint the Photo-etch. It really drives me crazy. This sidebar drives me crazy when you guys use Photo-etch. Not you guys yourselves, but you guys in the hobby use Photo-etch without actually painting it the right color. When you just have silver stuff that's not supposed to be silver or nickel, it looks kind of silly. Okay, so those two big boxes that we were pointing at that we didn't know what they are, they're the fuel tanks. Here's the bottom of the engine, mounts your transaxle. Now here, whatever this is supposed to be, I guess it's supposed to be a suspension dampener, perhaps. There are not holes for this on the kit, and there are not drill-through spots there. They give you very detailed instructions on how many millimeters in every direction, pretty much. Let's see. There we go. In direction from the edge of the wheel hub, the top of the wheel hub, and then this is going to be 1.6 millimeters over and 4 millimeters down, and then the diameter of the hole that you need to drill, which appears to be 1.6 and 1.3 millimeters. I realize that this is being done again because there's going to be a gravel trans kit suspension for this eventually, but I think it would have been a hell of a lot easier to make those flashed over rather than because you have to again here you'll have to do it again here whoops too far off screen. You'll have to do it again here in the back with those suspension dampeners. Let's see, moving along here. This, whoops, let's just do this, put it flat. This will show your assembly of your brake, your brakes, and your steering arm. Here's taking the brakes and mounting them to the rear with the rear brace. Actually, they say that would be the front brakes and the front brace. Here's the rear uprights going on with the rear brace as well as the rear bracing for the suspension. Let's get on to some meat and potatoes here. Need to move this box out of the way. Let me get a little bit more light on this. There we go. This is the construction of your wheels, putting your wheels on. Like I said, they're sort of a quasi-male fit because they're just going to go right into those brake rotors themselves. And then here we are starting to build up the chassis floor pan with your brakes and your computers and all of your intakes. There's a battery here, but if you for some reason you build the championship team, they did not use the battery, so be aware of that. Then you come over here, and here's your gear shifter and your handbrake, fire extinguisher, your center console there, and then here's your instructions up here on how to create the tie down for the spare tire well. Very detailed, right? This over here will give you instructions both in decal format as well as actual seatbelt format. The one thing I did notice about this, though, guys, is there's no length. So you're going to have to sort of eyeball the decals to get your length for like the lap belts and stuff like that, and then again eyeball it for the tie down here, because this tie down, as you'll see, goes back pretty far ways. And this shows you your seat frames and how they fit, how the beginning of your roll cage goes together. And you see this is your brace right here, which will skip a step. Shows where exactly your seatbelt end up mounting, way back here to the shock tower brace. So you're gonna have to be able to draw, be able to eyeball the decal on the seat decal to show, have enough seats so that if you wanted to do connected seatbelts, they would connect and they don't look stupid, and then actually have enough of a drop to run all the way back to the shock tower, and loop over itself and everything else to anchor correctly. I just like these instructions. They are, like I said, oops, there comes the box to the kit. They are 3D development drawings of the parts and how they go together. So theoretically speaking, since you're getting the instructions directly from the design of the kit, everything should fit flawlessly. Well, we'll see, I guess. But here you see how many, whoops, no, here you don't see because it's folded up too far. Here you see how many holes you have to drill for all the various antenna. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like the little, making Orion's belt up here. And then holes to drill if you want to mount the night racing lights, because that's not a mandatory feature. Here's your photo-etch going into the top of your hood. I don't want to go through every single step in depth here, because you should just buy your own. And here's all of your antennas. Whoops. Here's all your antennas getting mounted here. It just basically shows metal part for the antenna. What all those little nubs were that we were talking about, I don't know what these are. Well, they're all the bases to these antennas. So that's kind of a cool. Now I'll have to look at them and see whether or not they're pre-drilled or not. But 1, 2, whoop, not that one. 1, 2, 3, 4 metal rod antennas. And look, I get 4 bases for them. So it'd be really, really cool if the bases are pre-drilled, because you're going to only end up, like I said, using 2 short ones, 2 long ones, and then everything else are GPS transponders. Oh, this GPS transponder looks, man, I don't know if that's a line to the part, or that's you're going to have a bunch of spare leftover parts to use on other projects, so that's really cool. And then this goes into your rear spoiler setup, and then all your night racing lights and how they go together. And I almost want to say that some of these metal parts also are used to as mounting points for the night racing setup. So, in effect, you could use them all if you wanted to, apparently. And this is putting your rubber things on your skid plate. And then here are the decal instructions, actual real pictures of the car with number call-outs. Sort of a different way of going about it than the line art that you normally see on most other builds. We are running close to an hour. This will show you your other 4 available Belkits. You got a Peugeot, you got a Ford Fiesta, a Ford Focus, and what is it? 2 Ford Focuses. Up. All right, they're backwards. Ford Fiesta, Ford Focus, and the Skoda Fabio 2000. So, anyway, guys. That takes care of the Belkits Volkswagen Polo, our World Racing Championship kit. If you guys have any questions about anything, leave them in the comments. And I know it's a long video to sort of slog through, but if you one of the things we sort of pride ourselves on here in the kit reviews is going through every piece part by part, as in depth as we can, so that you're making a wise decision. This is again a $45 to $50 model kit, perhaps more depending on where you purchase it. They're not really all that easy to find on. There's probably 3 of them on eBay right now. Just because they're not really in really wide distribution at this point still. And, Belkits is a small company. There's not a great big run of kits either. There's not 50,000 of them floating around out there. So, we want to go through, like I said, every single piece of it so that you guys know exactly what you're purchasing and exactly what you are looking for. Really, the only thing that keep me from giving this thing like you got to go out and buy it right now, highly recommended 10 of 10 thing is the chassis and its lack of flashed over drill points for those suspension dampeners that you're going to have to go through and, like I said, measure out and get into the right places. Now, I don't think they necessarily interfere, looking at the instructions a second time with you guys, they don't necessarily interfere with anything as far as the fit of the suspension goes. You might be able to leave them off and nobody would ever notice. But if you want to put everything on, whether or not you're going to really need to measure everything out and get them, or just sort of eyeball it, and perhaps it all depends to be seen. You could just take the thing, paint it black on the back while the black's still tacky, place it against the body where you want it to, and that would give you some drill holes. It's kind of a hinky redneck way to go about it, but if you don't have a flexible or very small to get it into the wheel wells, millimeter measuring tape, that may be your only option. Other than that, guys, it looks like a really cool kit, and I'm really psyched and waiting for the carbon fiber set that Diego's going to do. And like I said, this is going to go way up there on the top of the list. This is definitely bought more of a lark because it's a Volkswagen Polo. There'd never be a kiddo one anyway. And modern rally car, I can kind of get into that a little bit. But this is definitely well worth my money, and I think if you give it a chance, you'll like it too. And may lead you going back into other back versions of kits. I know I certainly looked at them a little bit going, maybe I want to get that Peugeot and them Fords after all. But then I'm starting to get into a rally kit thing, and that's too many race cars. I got so many street cars to build. So anyway, guys, we'll catch you on the other side.